The many things I mentioned, Turning Point was missing 3 of the 4 990 forms for their shell companies. Well, guess what? The missing forms have mysteriously been posted, and they are marked that they were filed on May 15th, 2025. So they are claiming that they filed 4 forms, the IRS posted one, held on to the other 3, and for some reason posted them 6 months later when people started talking about it online. Isn't that convenient? But we're not going to dwell on it, because the more important thing is that now we have the missing financials. And you're not going to believe this. It gets even worse. In the 990 forms, you can go to page 8, and each organization must list out their highest paid independent contractors. What is curious is that on the FY24 form for America's Turning Point, Tyler Boyer lists himself as an independent contractor, and he puts his personal home address. Now, I'm not doxing anyone here because it is public information on the IRS form. And I have to tell people, please do not go to Tyler Boyer's house. That is not appropriate. But I will say, if you go look up his residence on Google Maps, you will see that he lives in a massive mansion. Now, I'm not going to show his home out of respect, but you can go see it for yourself. It is mind-blowing. Where is Tyler Boyer getting all this money? But what is even more important is if you go to the other shell company, Turning Point Action, in FY 2024, their number 1 independent contractor is a company called 110 LLC. In fact, this has been one of their largest contractors for the last 3 years. These are all the payments, and they total $1,456,261 over the last 3 years. That's almost $1.5 million. The description they provide is social, digital media, ad placement. Now, there is also an address for this company. So I thought, let's take a trip and go check this company out. If Turning Point is paying them $1.5 million, they must be doing something really great.
I am on location in Queen Creek, Arizona. And if you don't know, Queen Creek is a suburb of Phoenix. So I'm at the address that was listed on the 990 form. And this is strange. This is a strip mall. So I'm going to get out, I'm going to take a walk around and see if I can find the business 110 LLC. Okay, I've walked past all the suites. I've checked all the doors. The business 110 LLC, as far as I can tell, is not here. What is going on? So Turning Point is putting on their IRS form that they are sending $1.5 million to this parking lot. Well, I'm sitting here in the parking lot. The business is not here as far as I can tell. What is going on? I mean, maybe they didn't think that anyone was going to actually drive out here and check it out. But as far as I can tell, the business is not here. So my question is, do the Turning Point donors know this is how their money is being spent? That Turning Point is writing on their IRS forms that they're sending $1.5 million to this parking lot.
I did some additional checking. Another thing that is strange is that there is no website for 110 LLC. How do you run a business without a website? That's pretty strange. And I thought, maybe they moved. Maybe there's a different location. But if you look it up on Google Maps, there is no location for 110 LLC. So there's no website, there's no location. Does this company actually exist? Well, we do have records that it is owned by someone named Jake Hoffman, who is actually the former communications director for Turning Point USA. He is now a Republican state senator in Arizona. Now, just to give you some context, Jake Hoffman is a really powerful person in Arizona, which may be why no one has talked about this before. In his financial disclosure statement, he lists that he is the owner of 110 LLC at the same address in Queen Creek. What is also curious is that on the financial disclosure form, he lists out 8 different businesses that are all operating out of that same strip mall. But what is even more strange is that on the financial disclosure form, he actually lists out the suite numbers. He claims that he is operating his business out of suites 105 to 503. Excuse me? That is every suite in the strip mall. How does that make sense? Is he operating out of the grocery store? Is he operating out of Panda Express? Is he operating his business out of the pet dental clinic? Now, if you watch my channel, you can tell that I'm a conservative. But I do not have a problem calling out a Republican if I see something that looks shady. And this is all allegedly. I don't know if anything illegal is happening for sure. Maybe there is an innocent explanation for all of this. I have never met Jake Hoffman, so I cannot speak to whether he's an ethical person or not. All I can speak to is what these people are writing in their financial forms. You have to admit that it looks pretty strange. It looks like Turning Point is sending $1.5 million to a parking lot to get picked up by a politician.
If you remember, Baker Tilly is the accounting firm that did the annual financial audit. So they're the ones that signed off on Turning Point. They gave it a clean audit. They said there's no problems at Turning Point. Well, Baker Tilly, did you look at the largest contract? They're supposed to do an audit procedure to make sure that it's an actual company. Well, I'm sitting here in the parking lot. I'm looking around and I don't see a company called 110 LLC. So Baker Tilly, I want to know the specific audit procedure that you did to ensure that this was a legitimate company and not an illegal payment to a politician.